Hi, welcome back to the Nip Monkey Podcast. This is it, as it sounds. My name's Dave, also known as Nip Monkey, on Instagram and Ravelry, which is Nip Monkey, KNITTMONKY. And yeah, this is my little corner of the world. Now, it's been ages, absolutely ages since I recorded, about 3 weeks I think now. Life has got horribly in the way. But there are times when you just suddenly feel that you need to sit down in front of the camera and record. This week being a massive week for all numbers of reasons. Some good, some not so good. We make no secret of the fact. We can't we can't gloss over the fact that this has been a very strange week indeed. So, I will talk about knitting, obviously. The little bit I've done, it's been completely crazy. I'll let you know what I've been up to for the last weeks. And then we have a thematic week of Fourtieths, because we have 3 to talk about today. We have the 40th anniversary of something that's very dear to me, the 40th anniversary of something else that's really dear to me, and a 40th anniversary of something else which is dear to me in the fact that it changed the perspective of everything in the world, and that will link on directly into the music track at the end of this video. So anybody who's been paying attention this week will probably know what that track's going to be. It will be one of those songs that I will get frowned out for playing, but I'll explain why it's so important later on. Also, you can't go through this week. Obviously, those people in America, all over the world who are watching, hopefully, will obviously be aware. But this week started off very strangely for me, for the whole of the UK, in fact. I have obviously been away for a few weeks, flipping in and out between being in Bournemouth and being over here. I've been back in Exeter and doing bits and pieces here and there. And I haven't really seen a lot of my guys. I haven't seen a lot of my warehouse. Nobody working with me, because obviously I've been up in Bournemouth messing around and causing chaos. So I came back to actually go back on shift proper, the first proper on shift last week, which is fine. Now we have a routine the week. Everyone has their own little quirks about how they work. Obviously things that go in, the first thing they do, do you run on the coffee machine, do you do this, do you do that? So I go in, I speak to the management guys there, we have a little meeting, chat about what's going on, and then before my guys actually come in and get on shift and start all their work and stuff, there is one thing I religiously do, and that is, there's nothing worse than a quiet building to work in. So I walk down the shop floor, I have to do my little tour with the management staff, obviously pointing out any hazards, usual stuff, and then I turn the radio on. Every single night, every single shift I'm in, turn the radio on to the station we use, which has no adverts through the night, so it's a bit of a laugh. No DJs, loads and loads of really odd and eclectic music, and I ramp the volume up. And then it's kind of like, get everything chill, get everyone's energy pumping. But not this night, because this night was the 22nd of May. I walked down to the shop floor, chatting away, laughing and joking, flicked the radio on, and the news headlines hit at 11. Everyone knows where this is going. This is to, I would say, on the 22nd, 10:35. Somebody decided that it would be the greatest culmination of their life to detonate a household made device at a concert by Ariana Grande in Manchester at the arena. Final count for there is 16 injured and 22 killed. Now, the reason I need to talk about this, and it's not glory mongering, I don't know anyone who was there. I don't. Not that I'm aware of. I do know people who have been to Manchester and probably were in Manchester at the time, but there's no personal connection for me apart from the fact that what was the point? That's all I can say. What was the point? I put it on Instagram, I don't have the words. It's taken me this long to work out what those words should be, and I still don't have them. It wasn't a political target. It wasn't the police. It wasn't even a hospital. That I could almost understand. Ariana Grande's fan base, obviously, if I know she wasn't very well known to me, obviously, she's been everywhere now. Everyone knows who she is. Everyone knows where she came from. She was from iCarly and Victorious and that kind of, that ilk, that kind of Nickelodeon teenage TV show. So her fan base has followed her. So what you're effectively doing is, you're not going after fully grown, gonna change the world adults. You are striking at a bunch of children. How? That's motivated is completely beyond me. As a father, as an uncle, there are better targets in the world. It was a complete shock, and obviously, if on the unlikely event anybody who was involved, anybody who knows anyone who was involved, obviously all we can say is we're all in a complete state of shock about it. I mean, we have armed police on the streets for the first time in as long as I can remember. Even in Exeter, which is like 300 miles away, probably more, we have armed police on our streets. It's completely crazy. We're at a critical terror level. It's completely crazy. Just because someone didn't want to pick a legitimate target. So, what can I say? My thoughts, probably the thoughts of everyone in the UK, are out with all the victims' families and those who are injured. And at the end of this as well, there's a second video which I realised that yes, I don't have the words, but there is a man who does. So I'll pop that at the end as well, the music video. So what can I say? On to something a bit cheerier. Okay, anybody who's been following the news, yes, it's not really very big news nationally, but it is big news for us, to be fair. At the moment, in fact, he says, hurriedly checking what the time is. Yep, at this very moment, the Exeter Chiefs rugby team are currently playing in the Aviva Premiership final. Last thing I heard, it was a draw. As it stands, it's just half time. Where it goes from here, I have absolutely no idea, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and edit this tomorrow. It's probably why I'm feeling a bit weird, because I'm absolutely knackered today. To be fair, it is kind of running on about half an hour's sleep since yesterday, so I'm a bit weary. Yeah, that's going on. So what I'll do is, over this bit, I will put the result, if I remember. I know people do point this out, but there, maybe. And also tomorrow, which is Sunday, Exeter City Football Club are playing in the playoff final, see if they can get promoted. So they're playing at Wembley. I've got quite a few people I know who are going. So I'd like to say, although obviously this won't be up till it's all finished, good luck, well done, all commiserations. We'll cover all my angles. Let's just hope for the best, shall we? So, right, let's move swiftly on to whatever knitting I've been doing, which isn't a great deal. Still working on socks. I was doing bits and pieces while I've been travelling around. It's really the only time I've actually got to do it. But unfortunately, the last time I was up in Bournemouth. I proceeded to do a night shift. So I left here at 3. The train station's only 10 minutes up the road, but when you got a big bag. But I got here, so I left here at 3, so I'll get a coffee, got the train at 3:30, got to Bournemouth site at 8. Stayed on Bournemouth site from 8 till 12, so the guys arrived for night shift, then stayed there, left there at 8 in the morning. I got the train back and got back here about 3:30 in the afternoon. So I did 24 hours. By the time I was coming back, I could barely speak. It was really lucky that this old lady was sat opposite me, because I got this sock out and I was doing little bits and pieces. She was absolutely fascinated by the fact I was knitting, which is great. She was really, really sweet, so I spoke to her for quite a while. I explained the situation about where I was, and literally she kept me awake for like 2 hours. It was amazing. And I know all about her grandkids, and I know about the fact that she can't knit, but she used to crochet, and her name was Marion. So Marion, if you are watching and you do remember anything about me, who I am, etc., then yeah, hi. So I have reached the point of starting the rib. In fact, I have done the first row of the rib. So there we are. So these are the socks I've been making like forever. These are the Trekking XXL socks with the funky and lovely colour name of 422, he says. Hold on. This is weird because I'm recording on the laptop. Everything kind of blows out a little bit. So I'm hoping you can see that better than I can, but the quality actually looks better on the playback than it does when I'm recording it. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. So 422. But I won't, as it's ribbing, I won't knit on it, because what will happen is I'll make a screw up of it. I won't want to admit it, but it'll be on camera. And then I'll have to start thinking back, and yeah, and there'll be tears. There'll be tears and frustration and throwing stuff, and really you don't want to knit in the same room as me. Anybody who has, if you took a sailor, got him drunk, and then threw him in a room for a week, kept him drunk, and then let him out and heard him swearing after being in our station for a week, that's nothing compared to me making a mistake in knitting. There are, it's like Shaun Ryder on speed. It's ridiculous. It's very foul, very, very, very foul. So hence I won't pick up the needles today for you. But what I will do is I will go on to the reason for the podcast, the 40ths. Oh, there's so many. Where to start? Really, where to start? I can start with 2 of my favourite things. It was Kate, Librarian Kate, on Instagram. Here I was talking to you about this very briefly. And weirdly, a conversation about this happened the same night, effectively, because I was on shift. On the 25th of May, the greatest film of all time, bar none. Seriously, bar none. I won't have any discussion on it. Nick Monkey has spoken. The greatest film of all time turned 40. I refer, of course, to Star Wars Episode 4. And I was talking to a guy at work, right? Now here's how it goes. I'm standing there, and there's a guy opposite me called Tom. Really nice guy, big Scottish fella. And Owen, who is the boy child of the thing. He's like 18. So I turn around to Tom and I say, I can't believe the first Star Wars film is 40 today. And Owen picks up and says, no, it's not. I went to see it at the cinema. And I just looked at him. And I went, what? And he said, no, I went to see it at the cinema. I said, no, mate. No, I went to see it at the cinema. I was taken by my mother. I was like this big. So I didn't really see it because I was like 9 months old. But I went to see it. He said, no, episode 1 came out. I just looked at him. And I looked at Tom. And Tom looked at me, and there was a tumbleweed. And I looked over at Owen. I went, "You're fired." And he just looked at me stunned. And I said, "No, actually no, you're not fired, I'm sorry. But that is a disciplinary offence. This is your last warning. You ever refer to episode 1 as the first Star Wars film again, you're done. Get out." Man, it's just... It's one of those things, it shouldn't get my back up, but it does. Yeah. The first Star Wars film is episode 4. Yeah, there's no reason for it. Those of you who are, aficionados will realise that obviously it was never called A New Hope to start off with. It was never even called episode 4 to start off with. It was called The Star Wars. Yeah, the first episode of 3. And then obviously later on the New Hope tagline was added to obviously make it the middle trilogy of the 4. And George Lucas then went and claimed that obviously he always planned for it to have a prequel trilogy, which they did, and it could have been perfect if it wasn't done so badly. And then obviously you have this film, episode 4. It's the best film in history, not because it's the greatest written, not because it's the greatest acted, not because it's, brilliantly directed, anything. It is just the purest form of excitement I can find. Even now, going back, I mentioned it a couple of times on different podcasts and stuff, whenever anyone mentions it to me, that the first bar of the music, especially on episode 4, the first bar of the music will make my hair stand up on end. I get this fixed kind of giggly, childishness about me. There's just something about it. It just relates to me, and it's almost indescribable. Yes, okay, Star Wars Episode 4 is the film that destroyed a lot of people's careers. A lot of people didn't get any work after it, really. Maybe 1 or 2 films and they didn't do particularly well, and a lot of them go back and look at it and say, if I hadn't had that exposure. But mate, you made a fortune off it, because you were talking about the film that not only gave us the most iconic heroes of all time, the most iconic villain of all time, and yes, Whovians, gotta hate that name, the Daleks are iconic. Okay? Anybody who loves Highlander, the Kurgan is iconic. But you turn to me and say there is a more iconic bad guy than Darth Vader, and he's not even the main bad guy. He's not the boss. He's just this cool guy in black armour. But he is the one person that everyone wants to see more of. And even now, when I see the kids out the back here playing, and they're talking about stuff, they're all referencing it. Everybody knows who Darth Vader is. Even those people who, and I know there are still people of my age who haven't seen Star Wars all the way through. And there's about 3 people at work that I just want to whack with pillows because they're just like, oh no, I've never seen it, never got around to it. But you can still quote it. You can still tell me that a hairy bloke is a Wookiee. You can still point at, me saying, oh, something's huge, and them saying, that's no moon, that's a space station. Everyone can do it. As soon as anyone ever uses the word parsec, everyone goes, that's not a distance of speed, it's a distance. It's not a measure of speed. You're a liar, Han Solo. Looking at a kid looking at Facebook, the t-shirt Greedo shot first. Of course he did. Of course he did. Leave stuff alone, Lucas. It's not to be done. But you got to have a look at Star Wars as a groundbreaking film, because special effects wise it was amazing. The storyline, quite frankly, massively ripped off from The Hidden Fortress. Not very original, but the scale of it, unbelievable. And it's the film that all parents should hate because it's the one that introduced us to merchandising. George Lucas, absolute genius, got paid very little for the film at all, but kept the merchandising rights. The guys who acted in it signed up for a percentage of the profits. They're still getting paid for it now. It's just amazing. It's like the second highest grossing franchise of all time. And it's just getting better. and bigger. So yeah, what can I say? I have a deep, deep, deep love for episode 4. It's the film that started everything. Yes, there are things that make me want to laugh out loud. There is the stormtrooper bumping his head. There is the phrase, "That's too accurate for sand people. Only Imperial stormtroopers are that accurate." Oh, so precise. And you just look at it and just go, "You sit on a throne of lies, Obi-Wan." But yeah, and everything right through to, you know, the end titles, John Williams' score, the final battle, Han Solo coming back. You know, it's all just there to make you squeal with excitement. And there is this thing where a discussion broke out about if there was something TV-wise, film-wise, anything you would love to be able to go back and watch again for the first time. It would be the Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, all in a row. Mainly because after a discussion with my brother, who's now got a future stepdaughter who had never seen it, and he sat down and watched episode 4 with her, and then they had a discussion about why they shouldn't start with episode 1, and he did the exact same as me because it's wrong. She then got to The Empire Strikes Back, and that pivotal moment that everybody knows and everybody misquotes. But, you know, I'd love to see that whole thing again for the first time. Big screen, not knowing what's coming, and just now, looking in hindsight, wondering, would I actually love it as much again? And to be honest, I think I probably would, because I can sit and watch it now, and it's not one of those films I want to fast forward through, even the slightly dull stuff. And yeah, you can see what the filler is, you can see, you know, where the dodgy performances are, but you know, the whole concept before midichlorians, before Greedos Universe, for all that. So in its purest form, Star Wars, 40 years old. Okay, the hairstyles aren't so great, but it just looked brilliant. It still looks brilliant even now, because they did everything with models rather than CG special effects. So let's hope it continues for a lot longer. And in honour of it, I wore my Star Wars t-shirt. You see? There's a theme. See, I put up like this. Star Wars t-shirt. Yeah. So, while I was posting about this on Instagram, now I've got over my little geeky round, something else pointed out to me, and it's also thematic to this t-shirt, because the person who gave it to me has a birthday the day after Star Wars, and that would be the 26th of May. Sally, the pink-haired girl. I'm just debating whether to insinuate now she might be pink-haired lady, because she turned 40 as well, so she is a day younger than Star Wars. So happy birthday, Sally. And you know, she's over here, she's over in the UK now, so yay! South Africa's loss is our game, my love. But yeah, but happy birthday, Sal. You're awesome. Okay, right then. There's another one. I did say there was 3. This is after my earlier rant in the episode. This is probably going to make absolutely no sense, but there are times when things have to be celebrated because it is their birthday. Yeah, that was Star Wars, that was Sally. And now we're into the music question. Now, that also means that we're not looking at anything from the 2000s, we're not looking at anything from the 90s, we're not looking at anything from the 80s. We're back to the 70s. In fact, we are back to 1977. 4 years. You see? It's a constant theme. In fact, we are back to the 25th of May, 1977, which marks the release of possibly the most controversial number one in British history. And this is coming from a country that Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine was number one at Christmas, okay? There is a song that's far more controversial than that, not because it's swearing, but because of, quite frankly, epic timing. Now, it is a complete legendary song. When I announce who it's going to be, it's fine, but it's the fact that it even got released in the first place, okay? Let's talk the very long, complicated and illustrious history of this particular track, right? It was written, recorded, produced and put together by a very little known British band that no one will have ever heard of at all. The Sex Pistols. The game-changing band of the 70s. Now, don't forget the UK public had gone through, we'd had the Beatles, we were on top of the world. Yeah, we had those guys, they kind of died out. We kind of didn't really start making a mark. Not a great mark. And then in the mid-70s, late mid-70s, the punk underground music scene has started. You know, we were getting another sound. A lot of bands had started to rise up until they were verging on the mainstream, and then this band, the Sex Pistols, burst through, and suddenly punk songs are number one. People on the street are wearing punk clothes because it's cool. Yeah, it paved the way for the Clash, but also one of the greatest bands with some of the greatest songs of all time. The Damned, all these people into the new wave, into the rock, into to where we are now. All the skate punk bands that are doing the rounds, the rap, the rock, everything is all comes traced back to these roots. And from this band, 4 guys from London, put together by Malcolm McLaren, producer, and semi-styled by Vivian Pigging Westwood, of all people, who ran a clothes shop that Johnny Rotten used to buy from. Awesome. It doesn't help the fact that her and Malcolm McLaren were involved at the time, and that he asked her to get involved with styling them. So they had been going for a little while. They appeared on the Today Show with Bill Grundy. Now, it was a live show. And now what happened was they were signed to EMI. The main act that was supposed to be on, who I can't remember who it was now, but they got ill. So EMI convinced Grundy and the BBC to take the Sex Pistols on last minute, right? So they get on there, and they get interviewed, they play a track, and then they, quite frankly, obviously in a state of inebriation, start abusing the presenter. One member in particular, I think it's Glenn Matlock, starts, quite frankly, effing and blinding live on national TV, and that's something you should never do. So it was pretty much quickly drawn from the air. Sex Pistols were told they would never go back on live TV again. They had this album already recorded, which is where this song's coming from. But EMI bowed to the pressure from the press, who were obviously calling them, psychopaths and social upstarts and sort of thing. But they axed them, and they axed them on the 6th of January, 1977. Now, bear in mind, the song I'm talking about was released on the 26th of May, 77. There's obviously a new record label coming into play here, which is a quick turnaround, but it's more complicated than that, because on the 10th of March 1977 they signed to A&M Records. Now, A&M Records already had the Police, as a big act. They had loads and loads of acts, so they signed their contract, and as a fingers up to the whole establishment. They decided to sign their contract at a press conference in front of Buckingham Palace. Okay, now they've gone to A&M and said, look, we've got this record. It's already written. It's already been produced. It's ready to be released. Look at it. And A&M went, this is amazing. Let's do it. So they sign their contracts. They then go back to A&M's offices for their party, right? And the place gets wrecked, absolutely destroyed. You know, Sex Pistols, record producers, guests, you know, random women off the street. One of the bathrooms gets wrecked by Matlock again, in a tryst, should we say. The office, is destroyed. Stuff goes out the window. The Sex Pistols then leave and decide that the best thing they can do is go to the Wessex Recording Studios, which is A&M's recording studio, to make the most of their party spirit and start recording some new songs, right? So they bail down this limousine, fall out the limousine, and they suddenly realise they're being watched. Now, it's not them that are the issue, it's next door, which is a school. And the school kids have obviously gone, the Sex Pistols are going to be next door, so they're all clamouring up to look at it. So the headmistress looks out the top window, sees these 4 drunken idiots falling out of a limousine with bottles of vodka and stuff. She calls the police. The Pistols get arrested, okay? Now, bear in mind this is still the 10th of March, 1977. They don't even make it into the recording studio. They are arrested and taken away, and A&M drop them immediately afterwards. The 10th of March, one day. It must be the shortest recording contract in history. So, the Pistols find themselves with a great album and a great idea for a song that Johnny Rotten really wants released for a particular reason in 1977. So, Into the Fray. Now here we are, is everyone keeping up? Into the Fray, on the 18th of May, steps possibly one of the most famous businessmen in British history, Richard Branson of Virgin. He steps in, talks to them, and signs them. He takes the album on, and he takes this single. Now, A&M, obviously being quick thinking and had obviously started early negotiations, had already pressed 25,000 copies of this particular single that is going to be played. Obviously when the deal fell through, they were told to destroy them. Now, if anyone's got an A&M version of this, seriously, either keep hold of it for a few years or stick it on eBay, because it is actually one of the most sought after records in the entire world, and it has one of the greatest face values now for collectors, because obviously there's only over 25,000 of them and it is completely iconic. So, Richard Branson, third record label in 5 months. Okay, he steps in and he says, right, let's get your album sorted out and let's get your single sorted out. Now, it's no surprise that the album I'm talking about, and I am going to have to censor myself because obviously, you know, YouTube don't like naughty language, is never mind the Here's the Sex Pistols. Okay? One of the most iconic punk albums of all time. Now, they signed on the 18th of May. And this single is released on the 26th of May. So that's 8 days. Now, the reason that they put one of it through there is because it also coincides with 1977 being the Queen's Silver Jubilee. And in that week, from the 26th, when it was released, it sold 150,000 copies to get to number 1. The first day, 150,000 copies. The first week, 200,000 copies. It got to number 1 in a flash. That is bearing in mind that the BBC, so all the BBC radio stations, especially Radio 1, which was the most popular radio station in the country at the time, and probably still is, banned it. The BBC wouldn't talk about it, the news wouldn't talk about it, the papers wouldn't publish anything about a song by the Sex Pistols in the Queen's Jubilee year called God Save the Queen. It stayed at number 1 for a week. It doesn't really matter, because it was done. Because without backing, because without the trouble behind it, this weird little anti-monarchist tune made it to number 1 in the same week, same month as the Queen's Silver Jubilee. Now, I'm playing it for that reason only, before anyone jumps on me. Yeah, I'm an Englishman. I'm a proud Englishman. I'm not anti-monarchist. I'm not pro-monarchist. Yeah, I'm pro-democracy. Although, admittedly, a dictatorship with me at the head of it would be an amazing thing for the UK. But, yeah, it has to be acknowledged. I mean, it's a massive turning point. A number 1 punk single in the UK, floodgates opened. I'm a happy man, because that's me, that's my time. I am one of those people who was born a decade too late. Yeah, if I'd been born in the late 60s, I could have been a teenager experiencing this stuff rather than coming to it as a 19-year-old. You know, I'd heard a couple of these tracks, but I fell into the punk scene through, you know, the skate punk side of it. So, you know, your early Green Day, your Bad Religion, you know, NoFX, Sam I Am, yeah, those clothes, Operation Ivy. And then it was over the next couple of years I retrospectively went back and my big brother just went, oh yeah, and I'm like, why didn't you show me this years ago? And then obviously the Pistols, the Clash, Buzzcocks, you know, all these people leapt in my life, the Ramones of all people, you know, and it's just, yeah, it needs to be marked. It does need to be marked. It's a milestone. And it's not their best song. It's not their most iconic song. You know, by a long way. Anarchy in the UK and Pretty Vacant are much more iconic Pistol songs. You know, it's not as iconic as London Calling. It's not as iconic as Sheena as a punk rocker. Yeah, the songs you associate with people. But it's an achievement. So, I will start bidding you a fond farewell before this goes on any more with my random ranting about stuff. So if you do want to find me, you can find me on Ravelry, you can find me on Twitter, and you can find me on Instagram as KnitMonkey, which is KNITTMONKEY. If you want to contact me by email, even, it's KnitMonkey, KNITTMONKEY @gmail.com. And obviously if you are on Ravelry, come and find me in the group. Why not? This will be up there, the music video will be up there, because guaranteed, as soon as I put this up, it will be blocked on certain devices because of copyright issues. But yeah, so that's me. So until next week. Now, I'm going to put the song on first, because if I put the other bit on first, no, I'll make it to the song. So, here's how it's going to work then. Me, Sex Pistols, God Save the Queen. And then I'm going to hand you over to a man to say I dislike is wrong. You know, he was mentioned in the last episode quite a lot, due to the association with Blur, but he at the time was obviously in one of the biggest bands in the UK, in Europe, massively popular in America, massively popular in Japan, massively popular in Australia, a little band called Oasis, referring of course to Liam Gallagher, who's now with the Raconteurs, but he played a gig at Old Trafford very briefly afterwards, and he was asked by a friend to read something, and he does very eloquently, far better than anyone I know could ever do it. So if there's a man who's in the right place at the right time to speak about the events of this week. That's him. So that'll be coming up straight after the music video. I will see you all hopefully next week, unless obviously chaos ensues, maybe the week after. But yeah, do keep in touch, and I'll catch you all later.